Right, so this is a Honda Forza 2021 125 model. So I went out to have a look at this bike today. I was contacted by the customer by email, and she mentioned that it had a battery drain issue and it wouldn't start. And in the email it describes the symptoms as like turning the key on and it won't start, and it's flashing the ABS light and the traction control light are both on at the same time, or flashing. Anyway, today when I went out, the battery was completely dead. Took that off and put that on charge, and then went in with my battery, and I heard like that obvious fuse blowing sound. So when you connect the terminals up, it just pops. So it's pretty obvious that there was some wiring issue. So I found the blown fuse. It was on the backup circuit, and I tried a slightly bigger fuse, which isn't always the best idea, but I put a bigger fuse in and it held the current for a bit longer, and then it blew another fuse. It was a bigger fuse, and yeah, at that point I had to look at the wiring diagram to sort of get my head around it. I was thinking maybe it could be something to do with like a rectifier regulator type of issue. Anyway, one look at the wiring diagram, I knew it's just not going to be possible to fix it in the day. And then, having spoke to the customer and the customer's husband, and the story is they've had this bike since new, and in the last few years they've had it serviced, and they've had problems with the battery going flat, like randomly it seems. The customer was saying that she's had it in the dealership for 2 months while they were trying to fix something, and it kept coming back, you know, as if it was fixed, and then immediately the day after it was a flat battery. And the customer's husband was, you know, why don't you just put a new battery on it? Put a bigger battery on it, I think he said as well. But it doesn't matter really what size battery you put on it, it's just not going to work. So they've had it at the dealership numerous times, and each time it's come back and it's not really been fixed. So I'm not sure when the last time it was at the dealership. The most recent fault was this flashing ABS warning light, and then it wouldn't start. When I arrived to the bike today, it had like no power in the battery, so it wouldn't start obviously, or anything would come on. Nothing was on the dash, so it had been draining since yesterday. So I'm going to make a start on it, and it's going to be quite a complicated job, I feel, because just looking at the wiring diagram, where that fuse tails off to, it actually goes into a sort of like a split, if you like. So the power distributes from there into, I think there was 7 wires. So this power from the backup fuse anyway goes to 7 different items, and it goes into a number of components. So it will be quite the task finding this fault. Anyway, I'll just quickly show you what's underneath the seat. So under here you've got, I mean, the batteries not strictly in the right orientation there. It should actually be that way around, but doesn't matter. So it's the correct size battery. Oh no, it might be that way around, sorry. So yeah, the fuse box is here, and the fuse that's blown is the backup one, which is top left. So it's a 10 amp fuse. That blew straight away when I connected my battery up to it, and the key was off and everything was off, so it's obviously it's either a short to ground or a component failure or something like that. So in the wiring diagram from this backup fuse, it goes into the loom and it connects somewhere. And I'm just trying to think what colour. I think it was like a pale green wire on the diagram. Just go and have a quick look. So the backup fuse is out at the moment. And when you test for continuity between the power, like the output side of that fuse, it's short to ground. So, and it's powered normally all the time, this fuse. So it's going to explain why she's been getting flat batteries, because power's just been going into there and possibly draining through a weak connection to the ground, perhaps. But fortunately, that wire is like a bright green and black, so that shouldn't be hard to find. So I'll probably pull up the wiring diagram and we'll just trace out where that ends up going to. And if we look at this wiring harness, it basically goes into this loop and it goes along this side of the frame. Got connectors. There's I don't know what this is really, but it's got 4 big connectors on this unit here. There's a plug there, with many wires going into it, and then you've got sort of like a rectifier appearing connector there. So there's 3 wires with red and different stripes on, and then another one down there with 2. So that's kind of like your rectifier. So I've got my meter hooked up to that fuse. So it's hooked into the outside fuse, that green and black wire, and I've got it on the battery terminal there, and as you can see, 0.2 ohms. So I'm going to do simple stuff first. So I'm going to go into the wire and just move stuff around, see if there's anything, see if anything changes really. Oh, I might have found something there. So in the wiring diagram it mentions that there's like they call it a welding joint. I'm guessing it's just like a crimped terminal block where all the wires join together. Looks like I might have found some of them. So there'll be some wires in there, I think, although looks like they're actually moving. I'll have a look at this and see if there's any wires that I need to examine in there. Yeah, so there's that's what they show on the wiring diagram. They show these connections. So I've got an idea now. So you've got this number of wires that are all sharing the same circuit. So we know that there's a short to ground on this circuit here. So these wires go through and then they're shorting out to ground somewhere. So they all join up to this point here. So I think if we cut this and then we isolate which one's got the short to ground, that might help us, because we'll be able to eliminate other circuits, I think. The downside is that these aren't really marked, so you can't just say, oh, that one is the starter relay, for example. So I'm gonna have to use some of the logic to work out which one goes where. I mean, the other way of doing it is to go through and find each one of those wires. You know, say that wire goes to this unit here, unplug this, and then there's your problem. But we're still showing same sort of resistance, so we know that the short is still active. So I think we've got no choice really to cut these. At least we'll know from that point to there whether it's a problem or not. Nothing's changed so far. Oh, there we go. So we've got open circuit now, so we know that last one. I'm gonna have to mark that somehow. Tie them together so that so we know that one now is the problem. So we've got a good chance we could probably reconnect the rest of the wires and see if the bike will come to life. Just depends where that goes and what does it. Is it important to start on the bike? I've just thought maybe that wire that I've just cut there is the one to the fuse. So we could test, obviously we know the rest of them. We will test from here to ground. Oh, I should do it the other way really. So hook that onto there, to there. Have we got still ground? Yeah, so the short is still there. And I think the one we've just cut is the fused one. So the fault is still on these, possibly. What I'll do is I'll strip the ones that are down here. So we know that one of these two is short to ground. I'm just going to establish which one's the one going to the fuse box. Not that one, not that one, not that one. So it's the one that I haven't done. So that is definitely the fuse one. And then we'll just check from here as well. Yeah, it's definitely that one that's the fuse wire. So I'll leave that for now. One of these is going to be the problem. So we'll cut that one and not strip it. So, having camera problems, the camera's overheating. It's only 25 degrees. Yeah, so I think we found the faulty wire. Just double check. So we're on ground, and it's this one, isn't it? Yeah, so whatever wire's left, short to ground. Excuse me. So I'm thinking that we strip all these other ones and we'll connect them all together, and then whatever's left we'll have to we'll find out if it's important to actually start and running the bike. So we'll have to strip that wire. We'll have to sort of try and combine them all somehow. Right, so in case it wasn't clear, I've joined all the wires up with the fuse. So there's no short to ground now apart from the one remaining green wire. I'm going to put probably one of the last spare fuses I've got, because these take these micro fuses, I think they're called. Stick this in, hopefully it doesn't blow. Right, so apart from that circuit, which hopefully isn't important, I'm just going to see if we can start the bike or anything. Okay, so there's no activity up at the key. I've got to figure out if I've got anything missing. Now I've got the power on. I might have another blown fuse. Let me just check. Yeah, so I've checked all the fuses. They're all good. The ones that have got power, So I think I've got to find this wire. Nothing's on the dash, nothing's lit up. I'm supposed to press the button and turn the key, but it's not releasing. I don't think there's anything else you can use when the bike's dead, so maybe the hazards. No, so everything is dead, so I'm gonna have to find out where that wire goes. At the moment, that on its own, get the meter on, it's measuring higher resistance now, so don't know why. I might just try a jumper wire. It's a bit of a risk. If I put a jumper wire across and just see if anything happens. So we're doing 12 volts connection to this, so we'll just gently get that in there. It seems like, you know, the amount of current there seems a bit excessive really. And whatever it is now is stopped, so I don't know if that's normal. Okay, so the key's actually working. Oh, hold on a minute. It's actually come to life. Hazards. Well, how bizarre is that? Why would it use so much? You have to start when the. Hang on. Got to hold the back brake on these to start them for some reason. Aha! We're alive. That jumper wire isn't up in smoke at the moment, so yeah, that's a bit strange, isn't it? I think I might just check that jumper wire a moment. See what it's reading now to ground. Oh, strange. Right, that'll do for today. I'm gonna have a think about that. Okay, so I've had a look through the wiring diagram again, and the green wires, I think there's 5 of them. I'll list on the screen what they all go to, but essentially 2 or 3 of them just go to sort of like accessories to do with the top box, I think. And then 1 goes to the control display, and 1 goes to, I can't remember what it's called, but I'll flash up on the screen what it is. Anyway, I've cut into the loom here, and then just to verify which direction those green wires go, because obviously some could go that way, some could go this way. So there's 2 that go from that point back, and luckily one of them was the trouble wire. So anyway, fast forward, I've gone through and I've disconnected these connectors here. It's not part of that, whatever that massive unit is there. Looks like a giant rectifier or something, but that's not the problem. So the plug that wire goes to is here, and it's this box that's on the side of the frame here. So it's got Honda lock written on the side. So I'm not sure what this does really, but it looks like you could actually open it up. So this unit, for whatever reason, was shortened to ground on that green wire. So the fuse to this point here, I'm pretty sure everything's fine. I mean, I'm just going to do a quick continuity check between this wire and ground, just to make sure. Better get the metering shot, don't I? So stay right, that's visible. So are we shorted to ground on that wire at all? No, doesn't look like it. At least to, obviously we've disconnected it from the main loom, but from the main loom here, you know, we're getting good continuity. So up to this point to here, there's no short to ground. So I think I'm pretty confident that the problem is, you know, this box basically. So on that pin, I suppose we could measure it when we connect it, but we'll connect that up. We could measure the resistance if there is any to ground. I'll just do that. So I think that's, yeah, so we've still got good contact on the pin. Check to ground. Yeah, so we're getting 46 ohms there, so it's come up from when I first saw this bike. So as you remember earlier in the video, it was about 0.2 ohms, basically a short to ground. So it has changed in that time. So it's almost like there's something, you know, as time goes by, it's getting a, you know, there's something wrong with it basically. So I might just have a quick look inside and see if there's anything obvious. Okay, I've got the cover off. Let's get this out of the way. So it just looks like Robocop's brain really, but the smell, it's quite distinctive. It's burnt, so there's a burnt smell to that. When I took the cover off, something smells like it's gotten hot anyway. So there's not much on it that would be visible. I think if I can get that in shot, there's a couple of pock marks, scars, possibly. So right down on that chip there, there's a couple of unusual looking marks. Just try and hold that still. So yeah, I'm not an expert on circuitry like this, so but you can definitely smell that something has gotten hot in there. So I would say that it's faulty. So the next step is to find out what the hell this thing is. It's got a lock on the box, so it's a bit of a worry. If it's something to do with a keyless thing, I would be. So after a little bit of research, I've managed to find and locate the part. So there it is. Where's that light coming from? So there's the part, number 13, and as you can see, it includes a key, or a keyless system. So, oh, where's it gone? So, part 13, they call it. Oh my gosh. So that part is £440 including VAT. Now yeah, that's obviously quite important to get the bike started. So it's obviously faulty because it smells faulty and it's blown a fuse, and it's probably been draining the battery as well. That's what I believe. So what I need to do next for the next part of this video, which I'm going to hook up the battery, reconnect all the wires and see if I can get it to start and run with this old unit. See if I can maintain, you know, the see if I can get it to start, run, and see overnight what the battery does. So I might just do that now, and then maybe I can wire in some sort of, you know, external fuse for this control box, just in case it goes overnight. So I'll plug the battery in, make sure it starts and runs, wire this box in as well to a separate fuse, and then I'll leave a battery monitor on it overnight, and hopefully it's not a flat battery tomorrow, but we'll find out. So thanks for watching, hopefully this makes sense.